I have lived an entire life in my subconscious.
What do you assume to be true about yourself? How are you using the law of assumption to benefit you and to better your life? It's a universal law. And Andrew Tate, like him or hate him, he said something one time in a video that resonated with me. It's something that I heard, but at the time I didn't really understand it. But I knew there was something in it, something deep in it that I just didn't have the awareness to understand at the time. He said, I know more than you because I've lived twice as long as you. I've lived an entirely different life in my mind.
I have lived an entire life in my subconscious while I was asleep as a superhuman. I have all of the memories. I have years of memories of living a life in which I could fly. Some of you will not understand what I'm talking about. Some of you will understand what I'm talking about. But the point is that my mind has two lives in it. I have my conscious life and my unconscious life. I've lived both. In my living years, in my human experience, I've lived twice as long as you have. This is why I know twice as much as you know. I've lived more life. And I've lived more life inside of my mind because my mind has been trained.
So what he's saying is he's lived a whole different life in his mind. He's already created an entirely different life in his mind. He said, I'm a superhero in my mind. I can fly. So he's not flying out here in the physical realm, but you can say he definitely has material riches. He's definitely doing some grand shit out here in the world. But the point I'm making is he created his life in his mind first. He said, when I go to the gym and I go train, it's like I'm training twice. Because I've already trained, I've already done a full workout, full training in the mind. You've already worked that shit out in the mind. So when he does it out here in the physical realm, it's effortless because he's already created it in his head, in his mind. He's already done it. He's done the work in his mind. All creation starts in the mind. You must do the work in the mind first. You struggling to get things done, to progress things in your business, create it in the mind first. First, create your image. What do you want? You got to know exactly what you want. You know exactly what you want. You put that image into your head. You visualize on that image all the time. Keep visualizing on that image until you can break it down into great detail. I have an image so ingrained into my head about myself that I lose track. That your brain doesn't know the difference of something that actually happened, that you've actually experienced in the physical realm, versus if you just experienced it in the mind. So it's a blur sometimes. Did I actually do that shit? No, I haven't even done that shit yet. I've already done it in the mind. Sometimes I lose track of that. And that's how I know I'm going in the right direction. When you start losing track of shit, you don't even know if it's something that you just imagined versus something you actually experienced. You're doing the inner work. That's what you got to do. Whatever's impressed on the subconscious mind, persisted, eventually will come to pass. It has to. It's universal law. It has to. You just have to keep doing the inner work. So, yeah, when he said that shit, I was like, it didn't click then. It clicks now though. He said, I've lived two lives. He's lived two lives. The imagination and the mental faculties are so well developed that he can literally do that and live a whole nother life in his head. That's what you got to do. You got to live a whole nother life in your head. Stop focusing on this shit out here. You can't change the physical by trying to change the physical. The outside world is a reflection of what's going on in your mind. It's a reflection of the inside world. You got to start there. Change the inside. Be more worried and focused. Don't be worried. I don't like that word. Don't be worried. Be focused on what's going on in here, more so than what's going on out here. Somebody left a comment talking about my bank account. I'm focused on the abundance and prosperity, but my bank account says that I'm gonna get evicted. Yo, you have to not focus on that shit. You have to be more focused on what's going on in your mind than you are focused out here. The subconscious mind is going to accept the more dominant of the two ideals. If you focused on lack, you're thinking about abundance and prosperity for 5 minutes, and then you're focused on lack for the rest of the time, you're going to experience more lack because that's your dominant feeling. Focus more. Paint the image in your head of abundance and prosperity and you doing grander shit and not having to worry about money. Matter of fact, you're not nowhere close to worried about money. You got so much money, you worried about how can I spend this shit? You focus on that image in your mind continuously and repetitiously until it becomes part of your life, until you have such a well-being of feeling that everything is good in your soul because you've already lived it here. And since you've lived it here, you have those feelings. So it doesn't matter what you see out here, because whatever's impressed here in the subconscious mind will eventually be expressed out here. So focus on here. Stop worrying about what you see out here. It's Rob, man. Catch y'all on the next one.